Sekou be making me late.
So there we go. Now you can see us. Now you can see all the things going on.
Doesn't my Sekou look 10 years younger?
Thank you.
Haircut time, haircut time, haircut time.
Thank you.
You look so good. You look so good.
Oh,
I mean, look at you.
Okay.
You're so shy and humble, but you look good.
All right. I appreciate it.
You look good to feed. When you get a haircut, especially, you look good to feed. You see what I did there?
Okay. All right. Anyway, what has happened? What you're watching in real time is Fee went out to exercise. I got back in the bed. So what you're witnessing right now, the difference in energy level is that.
And this is why exercise works. Let me tell you, if you need a pick-me-up, if you need a boost in mood, if you need a change in perspective, I'm telling you, I was out there and a sister was walking, looks like she was going to work, and she got so excited just by what she believed to be was a level of commitment. She started working out with me as she was walking. And I said, man, and y'all, let me tell you, talk about tired. I don't even know why I'm tired. Oh, menopause. Could that be why? But we got it in, and after the show, Sekou's going to get it in.
Well, anyway, thanks to Get Rich 101, thanks to the Fiancé Files, and thanks to New Thought Media Network for providing us with the space to grow and grow and grow. And thanks to Reverend Mel, and thanks to PK. And so our presentation to the topic today is a holdover from yesterday, because yesterday I was talking to my financial advisor about the fact that the stocks are coming down from DEA. Is that from the boycotts? Yeah, the various boycotts. The stocks are dropping. The stocks are dropping, and then I went to call my financial advisor, and so I've been talking about this for a while. And this time I was like, well, let me call today after the show yesterday. Yeah. So that's what we're going to talk about. But before we do that, we got to tell you about Feed King's book. Feed King's book. So go ahead, tell him, Feed, tell him while I continue to wake up.
I dropped a book, a third book, autobiographical self-awareness story for women over the age of 40 specifically, yet not exclusively. It is partially a tell-all book. It is my story of how I was able to get myself unstuck during menopause, at a time when I thought it was a midlife crisis. I tell you, it felt like a crisis, but not until my dear friend Too Tight Tonya Jones.
Yeah, I still remember that. You were like, what? And I was like, she said again. I was like, what? Yeah, there was the way she lovingly put a new spin on it.
Yes, it was a reassessment.
And
I think sometimes when we are in the cave, we fail to realize that this could be the most opportune time to be in a cave so that God can get your attention. Because let me tell you, God got my attention, and this book was born. It's a story I never thought I would share. And I ran into a lady who works at Signature, and we were talking because the last time I saw her, I had to run out.
Signature is a theater space next door to us.
Yes, Signature Theater Space. And I was just apologizing, and I said, I had so much going on. I was working on my book, and she was like, you have a book? And I was like, yeah. She said, why didn't you tell me? And then it dawned on me. I said, exactly. Oh, wow. And I get on Sekou Writes about that often. I said, Sekou.
Often, because she's talking about people in situations that I've met before. Like I didn't meet the woman at Signature, but I have been going to Signature for years. I could have met her. I could have told her about my book, but leave it to Fee. Leave it to Fee who's mixing with all the people.
Well, because it's supremely important. I realized my friend Tangi Ambrose, who's an amazing actress in LA. Like she's my friend, but I am also a fan of Tangi. Like I met her as a fan. I saw her on stage pregnant, killing this play. And then I saw her on several series. I didn't realize until I dropped my book that Tangi has a book. And I'm like, Tangi, I almost feel some sort of way. Like, how come you didn't tell me? And it is our responsibility to share our gifts with the world, because if we don't know who we can impact and touch. So speaking of touch and impact, I'm going to segue. My fiance, Sekou Rice, has a book, Hack Your Pain Now.
Yeah.
And what I decided was we're going, and I told him that we're going to repackage his book because his beautiful, handsome face ought to be on the front cover. We're going to relaunch it, and we're going to do some author talks and some Q&A talkbacks and some classes and workshops around both of our books. Because while they're very different, the common thread is survival after a tragic occurrence. Survival after a tragic occurrence and your comeback. Both of these are comeback stories.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I just want to point it out that my mom convinced me not to go in and fix all the typos, fix everything in the book. And so it's going to be the same book, mind you. It's going to have a new packaging. And Nelson's wilding out. Nelson the cat is wilding out. If you hear the noise, because you notice us watching, we're watching the cat. So anyway, so yeah, that's what we have to say.
But finish what you were saying. Mom told you not to change anything.
I'm leaving the book the way it is, and just changing the cover, and calling it a re-release. So,
and maybe we'll have a forward.
A forward.
Have someone write the forward.
Oh, like maybe. I wrote your forward?
Maybe.
Oh,
that's cool. That's
cool.
Maybe.
That's cool. All right. So, is that all you want to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that Rep Melissa? Rep Melissa, yes, Fee. I got in my jump rope because I didn't make it to the gym. Yes. No excuses. Use what you have to get where you're going. Use what you have. If you have a floor, if you have a room, a basement, a balcony, if you
got a floor, wow.
Yes, if you have a cubby hole, a closet, a hallway, if you have access to the outdoor, come on now. Yeah, it is the best feeling. I mean, hands down, no matter where I am in life, whether everything is great, whether I'm going through it, whether I'm feeling conflicted, whatever it is. Like yesterday, I walked 4 miles because I chose to walk to the library. I was going to go to Whole Foods. And then I said, no, I'm going to go to Trader Joe's. And then I was too bogged down with the library stuff in my bag. I said, we went to Whole Foods, Rep Melissa. Gosh darn it. We did. I was gonna fib about it, but we went to Whole Foods.
Yeah,
we went to Whole Paycheck.
Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm again announcing the difference in energy because Fee has brought my energy up just by being all hype. She's brought my energy level up a bit.
Oh, that's good.
So that's good to know. And also it's good to know that I need to get out there and do the exercise with Fee.
No matter what.
Okay, so that said, I want to talk to you about talking to my financial advisor yesterday. So Fee, I talked to him 2:00 yesterday. He gave me a call.
Okay.
And I was expecting a simple answer. I was expecting, because we talked about it simply on the show yesterday with Reverend Melissa. Like, hey, I know which stocks are down. Oh, look at the cat.
He's so jealous, y'all. He's like, I want all of the attention.
Anyway.
Knocking stuff down.
Anyway, so I wanted to ask him just basic things, right? And I just wanted to ask him, like, do I buy it? Do I buy it inside of Charles Schwab? Do I buy it outside of Charles Schwab? Do I use one of the other apps like Robinhood or what have you? So I expected an easy answer is my point. That man did not give me an easy answer. He did not give me easy answer. So let me tell. So let me.
You got me nervous.
Yeah. So I was like, because I was all laid back and chilling. I was like, yeah, describing what I just said. Like, yeah, And then he started talking. I was like, what? Ooh. What? And so then I was like, all right, I'm going to come in today. Coming in today for him to do what he suggested I do, because I was like, that's too much for me.
Okay, can you share what he said though?
Yeah, okay. You want to guess what he said? You want to guess?
I mean, I have a feeling, because usually when he says something that you want to hear, you're like this, and you're not doing that. So I don't know. I mean, you seem excited, but I'm
excited.
I think it's, tell me, because I won't be able to make it. I have an interview.
Okay.
So I won't be able to make it with him. And I've asked Sekou to record the conversation, because sometimes things get lost in translation. But maybe if I hear it now, I'll get it.
Yeah. Okay. So what he did, first of all, was he went to my Roth IRA. I was like, my Roth? Like, what do you mean my Roth? He asked me about my Roth IRA. He looked at what I have inside the Roth IRA. And he said, all right, we can sell these two things out of the Roth IRA. So what they are is things that predated him, like things that I bought when I was figuring out Roth IRA. I was buying something, buying a little of this, buying a little of that, things that I just bought, right?
Okay.
One was a
just
bond.
For clarity, when you say things that I bought, is it stocks that?
Yes, I bought a stock that was a bond. It was a bond. Like, I don't know what that means. I just bought it because I read something. Somebody said buy something, so I bought it. But what he's saying is that's not doing much, and I can sell that for part one. Okay. Well, actually, part two. Part one was looking at Roth IRA to begin with. I mean, I wasn't looking at Roth IRA. I was like, wow.
It sounds like because Roth IRA is a slow vehicle, because it's for retirement, and so maybe you can take some risks. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's good. And you can't take out a Roth IRA until you're 60 years old.
Yeah.
Right. So that's long term. Mm-hmm. Long term.
It's not that long.
Yeah, it's long enough. It's long enough. It's just long enough to put it in the hold on layaway. Right. Something long term. So that's one. Layaway? Yeah, I guess I did. Yeah. Oops.
Now stocks are on layaway. I love it.
Put the stocks on layaway. Right. For later, when you're 60.
Okay.
So that was one. Number two was to sell some of these random things that I have inside the Roth IRA. Okay. Things that I bought because they sounded right when I bought it. But this was before I started working with him. Okay. So you can sell this, etc. And then I can use that money to buy, right? To buy an ETF. I know. I was like, an ETF? You mean like an ETF that includes these
Walmart?
Yes.
Target,
yes.
Amazon.
Yes. Yes. ETF. I was like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Not choosing one company. Because one company is still tied to them, right? Whatever happens with them happens with you. But an ETF is like buying an aisle of a supermarket. You've got all these different.
Say that again slower. An ETF. I know you're excited.
An ETF.
Imagine if he had some coffee. Take your time with it.
I got tea. So
an ETF.
An ETF
is like.
It's like buying a
aisle in a
grocery store. See, sometimes I get these things. I say them. I can't get them back. Yeah. So I'm gonna try one more time. Mm-hmm. An ETF is like buying a whole shopping aisle under one thing, under one tag.
Versus buying a few items off the shelf.
Right. Rather than buying one thing and two things, or one thing, you buy the whole aisle, right?
So you increase your odds.
Yes.
Of making of something hitting within that ETF, because the ETF is comprised of 500.
Well, the S&P 500 is has 500, right?
Okay.
But this one, he's talking about a different ETF offered by Charles Schwab, of course.
Okay.
That it ends with the letter G for growth. That's how it got me going. Like, it ends with G for growth. G for growth. G for growth.
G for growth. What? Got growth.
Yeah.
Somebody's lit up in here on a Thursday morning. I love.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I was like, so wait a minute. So I talked to him about, like you did. I just assumed that he meant the S&P 500. I assumed that too. Say no, because that does this and this and this, but this is for growth, and this is for all your maintenance level, like merchant, all these stores like Target is a store, like Amazon, Walmart is a store, like
Sephora.
Yeah.
Okay.
He looked at my portfolio, and I don't have much of stores in my portfolio. I've got a little bit, but none of them are being affected by this. Okay. So this is a way that I can buy into these stores.
Yeah.
In a whole, buy the whole aisle at once, and then buy just one share, and then let that share sit until I'm 60. I was like, what? I was like, I'm coming in, bro. You're going to do this with me.
And I'm going to call him myself and make my appointment for next Thursday. Excuse me. And I'm going to ask Chris if he's okay with you recording the conversation so that you can help explain it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rev Melissa.
Maybe I can even G for growth. G for growth. ETF. Yeah, so I forget the beginning letters, but they end with the letter G for growth. And I think it's very important that none of this would have occurred to me if I hadn't called my financial advisor.
Well, okay.
None of this.
Let's go back a little further. None of this would have happened if he didn't have a financial advisor. If you weren't curious. One of the things that was driven home for me, and I'm sure for you as well, yesterday, we were watching, he's a podcaster, and his podcast is all about wealth, and he interviews very wealthy, successful people. He's a former football player, crashed and burned, rebuilt. He's now a millionaire. What's his name?
Oh, Lewis Howes.
Lewis Howes. Yeah, Lewis Howes was interviewing one of the Shark Tank sharks. His name is Robert.
I don't know his last name, but his first name was Robert. Yeah.
We don't know what he does, but he's very wealthy and successful. He's an immigrant. I did learn that his parents came from Eastern Europe.
Right.
And one of the things that he was saying is a trait for wealthy people is to be curious. And then he went deeper. He said to be open to learning and constantly learning, because sometimes you think you know enough, and like the world is continuing to grow and evolve and transition. And so there's always new things to learn. And if you weren't curious about Charles Schwab and money, you would have never walked through those doors. And that's an example of being curious.
Yeah, being curious enough.
Yes.
Because I was curious about Charles Schwab for years. I've been walking past that location. I was like, what do they do in there? What do they do with the stocks? What do they do? And I didn't even stop and look inside. You know, I would stop and look inside. And and yeah, Mel shout us out.
You're right, Red Melissa. No more.
But I kept on looking inside, and it took me being focused on money and figuring out money in a new way that gave me enough of a oomph.
It took you having a stroke.
Yeah.
It took you having a stroke.
Took me having a stroke and having to figure out how to pay for said stroke. Like that's what I'm thinking about. I'm like, I got to figure out this way. And so that's what pushed me into the building, and I brought you with me and pushed us into the building.
Yeah.
And we sat there, and you saw me because I kept on being like, yo, man, how much?
Right.
How much, bro?
It was almost like we were having this public Black people conversation, because he's a brother and Sekou was like,
bro, come on,
like,
man.
Tell me the real.
Come on, for real though. How much is it gonna cost me?
I've never thought about, been curious about Charles Schwab. And so that's why I'm constantly reminding Sekou of the blessing that his stroke has been for us, for him, for your friends. Like, they get to know you as a real whole human being versus, popping collars, flying, reviewing cars, the life of the party.
Doing the living the life. Living the life. But that's the thing though. You can live the life without understanding the life. You can live the life without understanding the life. Right? And I was doing that. I was living the life, but I didn't understand what was behind all that. And now I'm understanding what's behind all that. Right?
Yeah. Because living the life was also a distraction. It allows you to distract yourself from what's really important and what's really happening. Because while you're living the life, spending, you're not focused on growth, investing, saving. How long is the money going to last? And we ought not beat ourselves up for it, because and I think also we got to stop using being young as an excuse. Because if we want to disseminate this knowledge and this information to young people, then that means you get to not use being young as an excuse, because you can start where you are. So many of these thought leaders that we follow became millionaires at 25. I was like, where was I?
Yeah.
Like, I never knew of a millionaire at 25, except for maybe a celebrity or two. But for the majority of even celebrities aren't necessarily a millionaire at 25. I shouldn't say celebrities. I should say actors, people in the entertainment industry. But to bear witness to so many testimonies of people who have become millionaires at 25, 28, 31, 35. I'm like, so they were not using being young as an excuse. They were focused. They were intentional, and they were listening, especially that guy, Robert.
Yes, I just wanted to tell that Robert story again, because it's not going to have a good ending, because I didn't understand the ending, but his great desire, his dream. What's the thing on the wall? The thing we did on the wall.
Oh, vision board.
His vision board, right? Yeah, we got one up on the door. It's working, right?
Mine is in my office.
Right. So he had a vision board of buying a car, and he bought a used Ferrari, right? He moved into this neighborhood, and he ran across the street, and he met somebody who was out doing this thing. He's like, hey, come see my Ferrari. He came and showed him the Ferrari. He's like, oh, that's nice. Come see mine. And then he came over with him. So this is Robert coming over with the guy who he just met.
Robert is from Shark Tank. He's one of the Shark Tank judges. Yes.
And so the guy comes over and shows him, opens his garage. He's got two cars.
Two Porsches.
And he's like, and so that triggered something in Robert where he was like, okay, I need to learn more, because I've done everything I could do to end up with a used Ferrari. But this man appears to be doing about the same work that I'm doing, but he's got two Porsches. And so that right there is where you have to grow or stagnate. Like you've got to grow or stagnate. So you've got to choose that I am going to figure out how this man got this money to buy these two cars. And you've got to go and figure it out.
What I gleaned from that was, because he also said, I could not work any harder than I was working. He said, I was working my ass off is what he said. I was working. It's okay.
No. Beep,
beep, beep. And he said, I was working. There was no more hours. I was getting 4 hours of sleep. He said, I was working so hard. So I knew that working hard is the foundation, right? Yes, we got to respect. We put respect on working hard. However, the focus needs to be on working smart and learning more. And for me, I would have appreciated a different story because I'm not moved by tangible things, cars. For me, but I was able to release that. What would have really resonated for me was if he told a story about how this guy was able to live in multiple places at the same time, travel wherever he wanted, whenever he wanted, and work. Because for me, in the beginning, it sounded like it was all about material, having a car. But then he broke it down. He said it wasn't about the car. Like, I didn't feel like I need a bunch of cars. I just realized that I have a used Ferrari and I worked so hard for that. And this guy has 2 cars and that were new cars. And it seems like he was not working as hard, like physically putting in the labor. And what he went back to was value. And I love that the host asked, because the host said, well, what does that look like? What does working smarter look like? He said, adding more value for myself and to my customers. And I love that because consistently, one of the things that everyone is saying who's uber successful, from Gary Vee to Arlen Hamilton to the guy you were following for a while, Anthony O'Neill, Danielle Leslie, is giving people value. And sometimes we mistake value for free. We mistake value for free, especially when you're growing, and value and free they're not necessarily one and the same. Because I got so much value from that. And then what Robert said is that he's now on a mission to share a lot of his knowledge and his wisdom and tips on social media for free. So there are no excuses. It's just like exercise. Like, we all have access to it. Just do it. And now we all have access to these millionaires and we get to learn their secrets. You also got to implement it, though. Like, you can sit there and listen to it like it's entertainment. Important. Yeah. It's to implement it.
You've got to implement it, because like me, you could be like me, like entertaining myself with these thought leaders for all this time without choosing to do anything, without choosing to try anything. But the stroke now, the stroke and the hospital bills that came after the stroke was like, whoa, I got to do something. I got to do something. And so that got me moving. And now I've tried these different things and I was like, wait a minute now, this is working. So the same story. I was making $200,000 a year. And then I lost that job and I was doing DoorDash. Participating.
You didn't, it wasn't a job. You had your own company.
Yeah. Okay. I had my own company making $200,000. And then I was making like a fraction, like I was making like $100 per paycheck doing DoorDash. And I was like, I can't possibly put aside any money. I can't possibly. I was like,
there is no money.
But I was reading books. Then.
Like books like this?
Yes, I was reading books like The Science of Getting Rich. Like, this is one of the books I read. I was like, all right, yeah, because I needed to understand now how these people got this money. And one thing they kept saying was pay yourself first. Pay yourself first. Pay yourself in different talks.
Yourself
first. Yeah, in different books, different authors. Yeah. Everyone's saying the same thing, and I had to try that. And even though I was only making $100 per paycheck with DoorDash, I did it. I put 10% aside, and that 10% grew and grew and grew.
And it speaks to your level of faith and discipline It's simply, it really boils down to how disciplined are you? Because I don't know if you remember this, Sekou. I'm gonna tell y'all a little see. We're out of time. Oh my gosh.
Go ahead, finish it. Finish your thing.
During COVID, Sekou was doing DoorDash. I switched from Lyft because there were literally no ride requests with Lyft. I was like, oh my gosh, what just happened to the world? I'm not like I have no work. So I switched over to Uber because there was Uber Eats. And I said, okay, well, people are going to still be eating during COVID. His best friend in LA, Corby, was doing Uber Eats. And Corby and I were working. You understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about Corby and I were putting in 10 to 12 hours a day.
I mean, serious time.
And we would talk about the money we were making. And so you came into WhatsApp. You were like, wait a minute. You made how much? And so we shared, and you were like, but I don't understand. And we both said, well, Sekou, it's because we're working. Like you go out and do DoorDash like 3 little trips and you're done for the day. Yeah. We're doing 40. And that's when you're like, oh, I could do more. Yeah. You could do more. You could do more with less. And that is the key. You can do more with less. You were making $200,000 a year. And then you're doing DoorDash. You did more with less money. You can do more with less. We just got to shift our mindset around doing more with less money, with less resources, fewer resources. It requires faith and discipline. Faith and discipline.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we ended it there. Faith and discipline. Faith and discipline. Remember, now is better than perfect.
Now is better than perfect.
Now is better than perfect. And we will see you next week.
Peace.